In this time of the pandemic, where COVID-19 has crippled the world economies, where our government has ordered nationwide shutdown, where hospitals are overwhelmed.
Shortly after, the unthinkable happened.
I was literally stunned and frozen.
And their religious leaders are proven to be frauds. Where do you go to get all your questions answered and to hear what God has to say about this matter? You can only find the answers in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General YAHANNA. We give you scriptural breakdowns of world events and the up and coming world war. We will show you in the Bible where the children of Israel, who are the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, would suffer slavery in Jamaica, Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, and other parts of the world. We will show you in the Bible where God said He would send plagues upon the earth before He frees people from this captivity.
The World Health Organization has declared coronavirus a global pandemic.
We will give you the true teaching of the Bible, precept upon precept. To learn more, subscribe today and call the number in the description for I.S.U.P.K Jamaica. Shalom. Shalom, Hebrew. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barakatam. To the brothers. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, Jamaica. Started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I.S.U.P.K today is run by Commanding General YAHANNA, the man with the rank and the authority to be the leader of the nation of Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans who are the Israelites of today. Want to say Yahweh Basham Yahweh Barakatam to the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Ailatan Basham Yahweh to the sisters. Welcome to our Wednesday evening law class, where we talk about dig deeper into the laws of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who are the Israelites today. You know what I find interesting about the law? Each time you read the law, you know, the Most High is giving Moses, because all the law was really given before we get the land, the promised land. Every time that Moses is giving Moses the law, he said, speak unto the children of Israel. In other words, he was telling Moses to speak unto a particular, specific set of people. Yet still here, even Israelite talk about there was mixed multitude. Yes, there was mixed multitude, but every single one said, speak unto the children of Israel. Meaning, there are other races amongst them, but speak unto them, because this law is for them. All right, now going further. Going further into the laws, statutes, and commandments by going further into Samuel. Book of Samuel, 1 Samuel. A lot of scriptures to read today, so we're gonna just jump right into 1 Samuel 18, chapter 18. All right. Allow me to send to our viewers. Send a link to our viewers. What was our notification? Some share our groups. Messenger group. Music. Send it to WhatsApp. Share into a WhatsApp group. Right, like I was saying, going deeper into the laws by going right into 1 Samuel chapter 18. That is new. 1 Samuel chapter 18. And it came to pass, verse 1. And it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. All right. Now, a simple-minded man who want to do. Why is this so low? Turn off that. Nice. A simple-minded man who want to be in the church and be a homo. Say, you see it? This is two men whose soul knitted to each other. Yes, their soul knitted to each other. But like I always say, you must love your brother, not make love to your brother. Right? You can't kill me for that one day. There's nowhere in the laws that tell you to make love to your brother. To love your brother. Right. And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. You remember what name? What the Lord told Samuel to tell the children of Israel that what the king would do. One of the things is that the king will take your son. So the king took David now. Means that David nobody go home again to his father's house. You have a place to stay. Some quarters that the king would have. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. What did Jonathan give David? He didn't strip himself naked in front of David. That's not what this is saying. It says that if you understand what is the garment? What's your understanding of garment? Clothes. All right. Well, in Israel, you know what's garment?
No, sir.
That's what it's a robe.
Robe.
It says robe here and his garment. It says strip himself of robe and his garment. So you have on a robe. The robe probably is because he was a prince. So the royal family, them normally put on a robe. Well, obviously it was a cool place. You better say that on Kings in Jamaica. Too hot for that. But the garment is that which you wear, your UPK attire.
What?
You have, the priestly garment, like one that you, well, I don't know if you ever seen me with that one, that you wear over this.
Black clothes. Well, let me see you wear the other day.
Oh, you saw? Okay, right. That's a garment. So, in other words, he gave David some things for war. He gave his sword, his bow, and the girdle. What do you think the girdle be?
Girdle be the thing that is strap around him waist.
Strap around him waist, right? And nothing like where lady them wear.
Gone.
Right? So, you men loving men, don't get your mind twisted and believe that these men gone into something else. The girdle was that belt used for war to hold your belly while you're there fighting and thrusting sword and shooting arrow and running and you know the saying from you were young. You ever hear your parents say you have to band your belly and ball?
Gone.
Why they say band them belly? They tie the belly to hold the muscle to prevent strain.
Straight. Gone.
All right. Same thing in war. In war now you wear a girdle. The priests wear something similar to that. You put around, you strap around. We wear it in UPK too.
Yeah, you hold your back on your.
Right. It hold your back and your tummy. Right. Give us some. I don't know if it's say give you strength, but this is something that you wear in war. So what Jonathan gave David was some war garments. Mm-hmm. The robe was more like something princely. Princely. Yeah, man. I don't know wear a robe. You ever see we in a robe? Exactly. So that was something princely. The royal families normally wear the robe so as to identify themselves among the people. Everybody else, if they take off the royal garment, they look like anybody else, So there were some clothes that they would put on. You could pick out who is who from out. So in other words, you come up to a man and him have on a royal robe. You mustn't diss him. It could cost your life. Right. So you might not know who he be, but you see him in a royal garment. So he gave him his robe, his garments, his sword, his bow, and his girdle. Gave him some things that were for war. Because I remember David was, prior to this, he was Saul's armor bearer. In other words, he carried Saul's armor. You have somebody who carry your armor when you're going into battle. Your sword, your spear, your shield, your bow and arrow, and so on. Them carry it while you get to move around free when you're ready to fight to take them. But now David get his own. And listen now. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him and behaved himself wisely. So David become a man who was behaving himself wisely is not don't chat too much. right? A man who the king send you out and you go around and you just a chat, 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 chat. Rather than observing with your eyes. That is unwise. So he behaved himself wisely, and Saul set him over the men of war. So it means that he becomes what? Saul's what?
Yeah.
General.
General.
So if you are set over the men of war, then you become the general. Right. But they use the term captain then, but they don't say it here, no. But today they use that word as a general. And he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. Now, this relationship that Jonathan and David developed is a symbol of brotherhood, right? Love for each other. They share, two of them share what they have. Even though he was a prince, David was a warrior. But in true and fact, still, you know, the prince and the warrior normally move good still, you know. Not all the time, because sometimes the very prince, sorry, not the prince, the royalties, because it's the army who have to go out and fight the battle. But there are times, and mostly Rome used to do them things, you know. When a general becomes so successful, it's like they start move against him. Try to bring him in politics, and then other politicians start cut against him, and before you know it, he's not so much a good general again.
Strife start build.
Thank you, strife. Now here, some strife did build up in Saul's camp, but that strife was built by Saul himself. Now, this brotherhood Jonathan and David built, Christ taught brotherhood, but there's not a lot of examples in there that you see that, you know.
For sure.
Yeah. In the time of Acts, in I think it was after Christ's crucifixion, there was some brotherhood. Acts 4, can go to that, 32 to 37. The time of Acts chapter 4. Acts chapter 4 and 32. Right. And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own. So, in other words, this was after Christ's crucifixion, and people start gather back again. The Israelites start gather again. Then they start learn to share. Right? No man never know have anything and hold on upon and say, I feel me think this. So it was a communal living. This wasn't the first time doing it. It happened sometime in Maccabees when the people start gather to Mattathias. Right? But here in the book of Acts is in the time of Christ when we start to gather with each other and share what we had, and no man don't get selfish with what him have. Start seeing true brotherhood. Neither said verse 33, and with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all. 34, neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold. So them sell whatever they have and what's the word they would use now? Dedicate that funds to the group.
Right.
So in other words now, today the group is I.S.U.P.K. So you could sell what you have and give the money to the UPK. Say this is for the Brotherhood, right? Or you have a property that is where you can farm it. And you farm it and you say proceeds from this goes to the Brotherhood. That was how we build back ourselves from scratch. Because remember, who you normally go to when you who is it that feels the punishment of the Most High the most?
The Israelites.
Yeah, but what sector? Who as Israelites feel it the most?
What Israelites?
Feel the most as punishment the most. The rich or the poor?
The poor.
The poor. Why?
I guess because they don't live by the statutes and the commandment.
No, but the rich don't live by it neither. But the poor feel it more than him. Why? Lack of possessions. Yes. Lack of possessions. Not position in a possession.
Possession.
You don't possess nothing. So, in other words, the man who have to have money, right? Even though the Most High say he must send hunger among you and so and so. His money buy food faster than yours. Because whatever the price the food going for, he will buy it. But you poor and you don't have none.
Yes.
Even it would have to be given away for free. Right. It would have to be given away for free for the poor to afford it. Or to get it. Right. So now those who have shared with those who have not. And that was how we start build back until the Romans invaded in 70 AD. And as a group, we collectively left and went into the mountains of Africa. Come down to the west side. And you know what happened after that? Slavery.
Yeah, because
slavery with the Arabs.
Them times it don't like it was nice those times.
Nice.
I mean, it was living as one that time. Because you have anything they share it with your brother and so forth.
Yes, but it's just like today. You have Esau ruling, right?
Yeah.
You have some out there serving Esau and is rich, but they are Israelites. Look how much rich blacks you have in America.
Yeah.
How much of them share their wealth with the people? All right. So when that time come where America will be like Afghanistan, the people are gonna try to cleave onto who they believe that can deliver them from the wrath that is coming. What difference will be the rich and the poor? Yeah, because the rich man money can't save him. So which is why Christ always preach brotherhood and say, you have, share with the one who don't have. You're going to dead left what you have anyway. The kingdom was going to fall anyway. Because I remember Christ was saying that telling when he spoke to the scribes and Pharisees, he was saying, even now the axe is laid at the root of the tree to cut it down, meaning that you're going to lose the kingdom. So all the wealth you in here have, you're going to lose it. So he was seeing further than them and telling them, share what you have. Take care. You see, the little brother with up on the road, they were poor or something. And then come amongst you, beg you something, give him. You're going to lose what you have anyway. Right. So the same thing today. The same message is today. You're coming to the truth, a brother coming to the truth, You don't have, you get. You have, you share. Remember, this is not a school, they play a school fee, you know.
Come on.
You can imagine if you're paying what you learn here. All right, you have some men who have PhD in philosophy. Sorry, theology.
Come on.
What you learn here, you can't find any one of them. It's a lot of money they pay to get that PhD in theology. Then. What are you paying here to get the knowledge that you get about your kingdom?
And the wisdom of the Most High.
About the kingdom. What you pay? Nothing.
Nothing. Just give your time.
So Christ only demand of you brotherhood. In relation for what you get, because even if you're rich and you come in, and then your riches give you the knowledge you come in here, come get. Right. So when you reach a stage now that you start get and your life start change, the most I ask you now to give back to those who are in need of your brother. Right. But he's not the brother in the world who don't want to make the truth, the step to come into the truth. Him not telling you, say, you must give to him. Right? That's why Christ did say, who is my brother? Who is my mother? Who is my father? These that, and his mother was standing outside the camp. And him said, my mother is these that are within my camp. You understand? All right, because I mentioned it, I'm going to go to it. But let me finish this first. All right, so verse 34. Neither was there any among them that lacked, for as many as were possessors of land and houses, sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold. So I don't know, little shacks they sell, right? He's telling about some men who had some nice houses.
Wealthy.
They had wealth. But they realized what Christ saying is truth. And they realized that, better me join with them people there. Them not have much. They have 2 houses. Don't sell one. Or, don't sell the house when me have it and buy a little. I mean, I want 3 big house where me don't need so much space. Yeah. Sell it and buy a small house and donate the money to the Brotherhood. That's what is recorded here in the thing. For as many as were possessors of lands, they have lands or houses, sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold. All right. And laid them down at the apostles' feet, 35, and distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. So they give, because what was happening now? You have a man who live in a house when rent and can't pay rent. For whatever reason. About to get evicted. You see that happening in America. About to get evicted. And in America, eviction, I just come by the landlord and say, I just go to me. Eviction, they come with a court case,
Okay.
And a lawsuit.
So you still have your money to pay.
Then I must. So, and there are those who need clothes, there are those who need garments to be in the truth. They give according to the need that you have. But you know that the Holy Spirit was in the midst. Oh, remember the story with Ananias and Sapphira, who sell the land and they say, we'll sell the land and donate it to the apostle. And then after they sell the land, they say, that's much money we get. We'll keep back some other money, man.
Keep by them promise.
Exactly. And they brought it in front the apostles. It was a vow that they made, and they broke their vow. And they dropped dead in front of the apostle. You don't know that story there. I
heard about it.
I'm going to stop bringing up stories because I'm follow I'm going to go to all them stories.
I heard about this story, but
All right, which one I had said that I was going to go to again?
you didn't tell the one that you was
Yeah, man. We were talking about it before. I was explaining.
about his mother and
Right. When the apostles came to private chat banners, comments. All right. We'll finish this now. 36. And Joseph, who by the apostles were surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of consolation, is a Levite and of the country of Cyprus. So you see, there were Israelites living outside of Jerusalem who came back. They were the main ones at this point who came back and in need. Of course, you have many within Jerusalem who had need to. But obviously, many of those who came back, because remember, they went out as slaves. Some might find wealth out there, but not all. We were slaves here. What much have we find wealth?
not really
No, only. Probably not even 10%.
gone.
Yeah. And not because you are able to go to bed each night with your belly full and you have a roof over your head. Some people count that as wealth, which is so wrong. What is wealth the most, I promise you? Rulership.
Gone.
Right. So that's no wealth. Yeah, hungry and nice, but you know what I mean? Say you're wealthy because you can find 2 shillings and you have a job. 37. Having land, sold it and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. So then one man here get named who was of Cyprus. So he was a Levite living outside of Jerusalem. Sell him land outside of Jerusalem. Come back. Come give the apostles the money. So it was these same people who made it out of the kingdom, because where Christ talk about the abomination of desolation, what Daniel did speak of actually. And Christ mentioned it. Said, this is the time that is coming. So these men were those who believe in Christ were the ones who made it out and did not become slaves to the Romans. But after we go in Africa and think, why we mix up with the Africans, and then we start getting a hobia, African spirituality, and lose the way again. There was still a Christian sect, but not enough to prevent us from going into slavery. The most I just say, take them off. Wide-scale slavery. Invoke Ezekiel 37. Let them not know themselves. All right, let me find that part now, where Christ says, who is my mother? Who is my father? Who is this big file? Who is my mother? KJV, right? Mark 3 and 35. Book of Mark, chapter 3 and 35. All right, so Mark 3 and 34. And he looked, all right, 32. We start at 32. And the multitude sat about him, and they said unto him, Behold, thy mother and thy brethren, in other words, your mother and your brothers, without, meaning without the camp, meaning not within the camp. And you know, mean outdoor, outside this, you know. If you know, when we have camp, you have the camp here, and somebody can, you there within the camp, and somebody can come up to the camp on the other side. We normally use a rope, show the borders. All right. So him say, your mother and thy brethren without seek for thee. And Mark 3 and 33, and he answered them, saying, Who is my mother or my brethren? 34, and he looked round about on them which sat about him and said, so in other words, him mother and him brethren, them the brothers, them they know the truth. So they come to him for whatever reason. And him look round upon those who know the truth and I listen to him and think and say, Who is my mother? Who is my brother? Who is my mother and my brethren? And he looked upon them that run and said, Behold, my mother and my brethren. I understand. And 35 he said, For whosoever shall do the will of God, the same is my brother and my sister and mother. So in other words, Christ born your destiny is the one who do the will of God. Means the one you call a brother. Means the one that share your garment with a brother thing. You do it with a Jake in the world if you feel like. You do it with a brother in the truth. That's a commandment. You see the difference?
The Jake is somewhat out of the truth.
Israelite. That's all right. Jake. Short for Jacob.
Oh, Jacob.
Right. So it means that Jacob, son of Jacob, but he's not in the truth. So that is, we call him Jake, right? So the Jake in the world is the one who you may help. The one doing the will of the Most High, the will of God, will of the power, that's the one you must help. So that's the one you are born, you are tied to help. So don't make no man in our world tell you, oh, you say you had preached thing and me there so hungry and sitting and in beg $100, good, I'll read him over now. Trust me, I want the worst thing for me know so me get a man of money and he gonna take him smoke, crack or go burn weed or I go buy crutches.
It's real.
Yeah, go buy a box with it. I can't get a box. I can't get a use of a box for $200 or $500.
What's the box? A poker box.
Yeah, with poker box. All right, so get familiar with the UPK terms. Brother say if it's poker box in the plane. No, pokey box.
Oh, God. Oh, good.
Right. All right, let's go back to Brotherhood. All right, so Leviticus, where we were first commanded to love each other. Leviticus 19 and 18. Book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 18. All right, we can read 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon it. Rebuke here is referring to correction, not despise, but correction. Right? Thou shalt in any wise correct thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Meaning, you see, a brother buying smoking is supposed to say, supposed to smoke in a virgin. Right?
Yeah, supposed to give him advice.
Yeah.
Advise him.
Advise him. At least you did tell him. You know he might not take it, but at least you did tell him. Let not that day come when he say, so oh, you used to see me smoke all the while. You never once tell me say me not to smoke.
You probably go think different now.
All right. But then you must be able to remember, say, say, young man, they always tell me, say, me not to smoke. But boy, I true be stubborn,
Yeah, because most people smoke and they claims probably saying claims so they can't stop smoke. But if you really want to stop smoking, you can stop.
Of course.
Because me just smoke. I'm stop smoke.
All right. Or you get to stop.
I'm going to stop smoke and say, to be honest, when I met you, and you talk to me and you tell me, say, no smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about what you say, because I want to stop a long time. I think about what you say, and I say, say, I will stop. And I was more now, about 2 months now. I'm going to smoke. I'm going to feel my way.
All right. Good for that. So UPK, you listen to UPK and you stop smoke.
Okay.
Right. All right, so Leviticus 19 and 18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So it is a commandment. So what David and Jonathan did, what happened with David and Jonathan is really a commandment.
God.
But the two, they become exceptional with each other. But that love that they shared is what we should all be sharing with one another. And when we do more and more into First Samuel, you see how the two of them
combined together.
Yes. Where Jonathan now, after Saul, who is Jonathan's father, the king, start hate David to the point where he want to kill him. It's actually Jonathan saved him. So till Saul start calling him idiot and thing because I think the throne would have gone to Jonathan. But the most anointed David as king. All right. That's Leviticus. Then there's Matthew. Matthew 22 and 36. Book of Matthew, chapter 22. Matthew 22 and 36 says, Master, which is a great commandment in the law. So even though the law tells us, love your neighbor, Christ really came and reiterate or emphasize that love thy neighbor. So that love thy neighbor thing, serious about it. All right, if we read from 30, we can read from 34. All right. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, so in other words, cut the Sadducees so them can't contest Christ. So the Pharisees now gather themselves together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, one of them, which was a liar, he was either a Levite or one skilled in the law of another tribe. But most times it's the Levite. That was the job of the Levite. So one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? So when they were asking the question, they already know, which commandment is the greatest? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. All right, what do you mean by loving the Lord, loving the Most High Power with all your heart? It means, all right, some Christians go to church, say Saturday or Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And what they do in between that. From one week going to church to the next week going to church. What happened in between that?
What they do in between that time? Probably not sure.
It might go on Kumina festival.
He probably go out.
It might go
on a date or something.
It might go to a Muslim mosque, follow a friend go a Muslim mosque and look at what the Muslim doing and say, oh, see them people are saying, what them saying not so bad. You might celebrate Easter. You might celebrate Christmas, which the Bible speaks of. Don't celebrate Easter. Easter celebration is celebrating Easter is celebrating the God of, goddess of life, the life giver. Spring. What happens at spring?
Spring and everything bloom up and pretty.
Exactly. So they say it's the goddess of the life, the goddess of Ishtar. The goddess Ishtar is giving back life to the earth. That is what you do when you celebrate Easter. You see how subtly church put it on you. All right. That is why they have the Easter egg hunt. You know what the egg hunt for? They get the egg, the egg, chicken egg, boil it, hard boil it, put some writing pan or something. The more egg you find, whatever, maybe it have a prize on it, written on it. You find the egg, you carry it to whoever put on the egg hunt and you claim the prize. So who can find the most egg now is a say, yay, that child find fertility. Right, that's a term now, the goddess of fertility, right? Ishtar, or what we call the Statue of Liberty, still Ishtar. So the celebration of Easter, which is why we in the truth speak against it. We say don't do it, because the Most High say we should not do as the heathen do, and we should not don't worship other gods. Even though you now know that it's meaningless, from that time he say, don't bow yourself to vain things, right? That's the term, right? So you having Easter bun. Now what they used to do is to bake cakes to Ishtar, which today is the Easter bun and cheese.
Imitate it.
Yes. And waiting coming in with the Easter bun. First it was named hot cross bun. Who waiting coming with it? The Catholic Church.
Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Hot
cross bun. Yeah, the oppressor. All right. So serving God with all your heart, meaning you don't celebrate them being things there. Christmas, you're saying you're celebrating Christ, the birth of Christ, which is a lie. Christ ain't born in them time there. Christmas time is the celebration of a festival called the winter solstice, which has been celebrated from before even we became a nation.
Decades.
Millenniums.
Millenniums.
Mhm.
Right.
So Matthew 22:37 said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. So with all your heart. So maybe you celebrating these things, but you don't put your soul in it. You're still not to do it. But there are those who know bow them soul to idolatry. How they do that now? Believe so much in these idols. The Indians, them, if you were Israelite in India, you probably worshiping one of these idols that they put that they put into their homes as shrines. It's me tell you the thing about the rich. The poor man have a shrine in their house, Can't afford it. Because the God that in poor.
Shrine is a statue.
A statue, and you have a corner in your house that you put a statue, put pretty things there, you burn incense onto the shrine. We burn incense, but from the time we have a temple, we burn incense within our temple. We burn incense if we want at the altar too, here in the class. But them know they burn incense here and they offer prayers to that image of the God that they are worshiping. Right?
Sure.
So they have a corner in the house that they use for that. And this image that they build is not an ordinary looking image. It's pretty. It have gold on it, have diamond, it have the little trinkets and thing on it. So it's costly. The poor man can't afford that. Right. So when Israelites used to do them things, they follow them nations who was around us while we were in Canaan. That's what we were doing. And when you read coming down the line, even in the time of Maccabees, they went into battle and some brothers were killed. When they searched under the garments of the ones who were killed, all of them that were killed, while they were in battle, they found these shrines in the houses of those who they went to kill. And they take them shrine, they call it, like me tell you, it costly, it have gold and sitting on it.
Expensive.
Exactly. So rather than them smashing it and destroying it, they take it and put it under them clothes and still a fight. The most I make the enemy kill them. All of them will take it dead. And then they found out that, all these men had shrines. So we as Israelites, we can't go into battle and in sin. That's why we can't beat this white man. Because him now, through him did have him from slavery, and him you have to go to the food, him trick you. Him put pork derivatives in a lot of the things that you eat. Pork derivative. In other words, one of the ingredients you make up whatever it is that you buy. First time when you used to buy bread, and it have lard in it, which was shortening. That pork fat make the lard. The lard, not lard, lard, L-A-R-D, right? So that was one way of getting into sin. Then you have I think at one time they said guineas. How they made guineas was to strain it through some unclean fish bladder, or I think it was bladder, through the bladder of some unclean fish. Get the big fish and then run the drinks through it, filter it through the fish bladder. It was unclean food that not supposed to come near you. So you drink it. What happened? You're sin. You're in sin. All right, that was one. And the other one was sausage. What makes sausage?
Pork.
Pork was the first thing. So a lot of people near me and they know say they might pork. Then
They change it up.
yes, you have chicken sausage now. And you have, but even then now you have to be careful because you have sometimes it's not deliberately mixed, but they are processed on the same food line. So in other words, them just make some pork sausage and then they clean up and they're gonna make chicken.
Yeah, come on.
And you have bits of pork and still up, thank you, still each up in the machine. And what happened? It catching at the chicken. Juices did have this disclaimer one time that they put up in their restaurant that their food may contain traces of shell food because then those shrimp patty and them not the lobster at one time. So the food may contain traces of shell food. Why they put that in there is that you have some people who's allergic to shell food. So they could get sick and could sue them. So they put up the disclaimer. But then who your last anything you're eating from the waters must have fin and scale. You could eat them food and in sin. Now, luckily for us, now that is where the most I said, boy, you shall eat all. In the last days, you might even eat food that is harmful to your body and it not do you nothing. Because the most I know the trap that we're in. And them knows there's only, that is why it is called salvation. Because when you read the Bible, Mattathias and them man in the time of Maccabees, they fought and liberated themselves with the help of God. In the time of the judges, the kings, they went into war and killed the enemy and liberate themselves. This time, not so. Can't liberate yourself, but you're not even feed yourself. Everything that you eat, where come from? Come from the oppressor. Yeah, man. And then don't contaminate the food. So in those days when we were liberating ourselves, we would end camp, have the battle camp, and we put away all unclean things from the battle camp. And and there are times when they would bring in the Ark of the Covenant into the camp. So the place becomes holy. So no unclean thing must not be in there. Now, if you should have battle camps now, you're not even feeding yourself. Or you're going to ensure unclean things not come inside it.
It's going to be a problem because you know sure.
Thank you. You can't guarantee anything because you're not feeding yourself. You're not making your own food. Back then, even though we had oppressors, we were making our own food. We're not making our own food now. There's no guarantee for anything. That is why it is called salvation, meaning that the Most High just like when we were in Egypt and Him just come take we up without and then carry our desert and clean we off. I said, we just take we up and clean we off. You can't even keep a good health in this Egypt.
Yeah, because the thing that don't make a clear fast and quick.
The environment poison, the water poison, the very house that you're living in is poison, right? Not so much you in the tropics, but like our brothers who are in the cold countries in these houses that are hundreds of years old. And many of them houses, then most of them city are 100-year-old, 200-year-old houses and so on, the brick house. They have moles in them.
So cold coming through.
Moles. Yes. Something like fungus.
Okay.
So it affects your respiratory system, which is why a lot of people in America did so fast from corona, because they have a respiratory problem before they even get the virus. And the problem, the respiratory problem that they have is not necessarily one that they know of. And then poop, it just hit you. You understand? You know, like you have something that is going bad, but you don't know it's going bad yet till it just shut down. Right. So Christ tell the Pharisees. Was it the Pharisees? Yeah. The Sadducees. Sorry, not the Sadducees. The Pharisees came and shut down the Sadducees just before that. And now the Pharisees come now and ask him, which is the greatest commandment? And him said, the first and great commandment, love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your mind. So everything you think, you must be thinking God. 39 now, the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. 40, and these two commandments are all the law and the prophets. In other words, is loving God and loving a brother. That is what all the other laws is surrounded on. Every other law you either doing it to the Most High or you do it to man. The sacrifices you were doing it to the Most High. And they love their neighbor, don't commit no adultery and all them things, that that's to man. So David and Jonathan was living the law. I think that was the first example here in the Bible of brotherhood. No one before that. All right, so 1 John 4, 20 to 21. I have to take some look in brotherhood. First John 4 and 20 says, if a man say, I love God and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he seen every day, whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he has not seen? So me I see you every day. You know the truth, me not show you no love. But me have a profess every day say me love God. I me never say God. Right? So the Bible says he's a liar man, you don't love God. That's what the Bible, that's how the Most High put it. So if you say you love God and you hate your brother, he's a damn liar. Because you're going to love God who you never see. And your brother who you see, every day you show him more love. 21. And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also. Matthew 25 and 40. Book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 40. And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it to me also. So in other words, this was Christ speaking when he was teaching Brotherhood and saying, when I look further up, it was saying that Christ was talking about, the final judgment. And he judge some people, him say, I was hungry and you did not feed me. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was naked and you didn't clothe me. And then shall say, but Lord, when did I see you and you were hungry and I didn't feed you? And he shall say, what you do to the least of these, my brethren, you do it also unto me. So they were hungry and you did not feed them. They were thirsty and you did not quench their thirst. They were naked and you did not clothe them. And me, you see them. That's brotherhood. So, inasmuch as you do unto the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it unto me. All right. John 13 and 34. Book of John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, chapter 13, verse 34. A new commandment I give unto you. Right, Christ speaking again. Christ said, He give us a new commandment, that we love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. In other words, same like how me, Christ, did love you, my commandment to you now is that you show that same love to one another. Yeah. But even though Christ said a new commandment, it was what was in the commandment from Moses' time. Love your neighbor as yourself. Right? Eh?
From day one.
From day one. So till Christ have to come down and tell them, say, it's all right, I give you a new commandment, that you love one another like how me did love you. So, in other words, now, Christ show it. What Christ did really, was to give the examples unto the people, the law. Brotherhood, the Sabbath, forgiveness, and so on. They didn't understand it. We didn't understand it fully. We didn't understand it properly until Christ came and actually lived it and show, and say, all right, so me do it now, follow what I do. Which is what I mean by when he said, take up your cross and follow me. It means, say, do what I did. It means you go take up one wooden cross and put on your shoulder and follow him. That it means here. Don't make them fool you. That's not what it means. It means the same way we come and live the law. Come, live and do the same thing that I did. Because everything that Christ did was from the law. When him teach brotherhood, when him teach whatever it was, he was actually teaching from the laws. In other words, he was explaining the law, living it while explaining it. Because he was a good lawyer. All right, that is what John 13. Matthew 5 and 22 now. Book of Matthew chapter 5 and 22. Matthew 5 and 22 says, but I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. All right, Raka is, it have a meaning in the Bible dictionary. You know the bug, yeah? All right, up there, so? That one, the Bible dictionary, the big one.
Big one.
Yeah, I think you know this one.
Yeah, so you know it.
Take out, let me show you what Raka means. It have a meaning. All right, whosoever is angry without his brother without a cause. In other words, you can be angry with your brother, you know. But let not that anger be because of jealousy or just because you don't like him. Right? Don't be angry without your brother without a cause. You're going to be in danger of the judgment. Whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, which is, you're taking out, no man, that's an dictionary, that's Bible.
Yes, sir.
On thick book. Oh, not in this Bible. How much books in that? Keep them on. It's not no fun. That's right. Man, this light is poor. R-A-C-A. Alright, see there. Raka means better lighting, man.
Yeah, that's it.
It's right. The signifying a depreciator estimate of someone's intellectual endowment. So in other words, it's like you ever hear somebody say, you ever hear the term somebody say, don't insult my intelligence. You ever hear that term? Just hang it on that. Just hang it on that. Yeah, man. As long as it hold up. Somebody said, don't insult my intellect. I'll put it here, so try it here, so. Keep trying this. Yeah. Don't insult my intelligence. So saying Raka to your brother is insulting your brother's intelligence. You take your brother for a fool, right? Raka. Shall be in danger of the council. Which council? You know, in the truth, we have a council. UPK, we have council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Hellfire comes from the Most High. So if you're angry with a brother without a cause, this is very same council will bring a judgment by you. You'll probably get kicked out of the school. All right? That's where it's at. Matthew 5, next, Luke 6 and 31. Matthew, Mark, Luke. Luke 6 and 31 says, and as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. You remember, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right, that's it. As ye would that men should do to you. In other words, as you would like people to do to you, same thing you would do to others. Right, that's brotherhood. John 15 and 12 to 14. John 15 and 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Christ speaking. Christ said, if we love each other like him, love we. 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Right? Every time you go to camp, this is what you're showing. You don't know what go happen when you go there. Can't go there and don't come back. That's the reality. So in other words, what you do in this camp is actually laying down your life for your friends. Which friends you're talking about? Those brothers in the world that are going out there to try and see. Yeah. And also you within the camp who is out there battling for each other. If a man come up against you while you in the camp, everybody in the camp will come up against. Right? So we now have to defend you. Regardless of when come up to you. Maybe it's something when you do before you come in the truth. We have to defend you. That's what? John. That's 13, 14. He says, ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you. So Christ, he said, you are my friend if you do what I command you. So that's why we go to camp. That's why we are in the truth. That's why we teach to raise our brother up. Because that's what Christ commands us to do. While you are here, go get them. I will send fishers. Anyway, we're not going to do that. So we're not going to tell you about that right now. That's what John. Then Matthew 18, 21. Matthew chapter 18, verse 21. All right, 21 to 22. 21 says, then Peter came to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? And Christ says, Jesus said unto him, Christ says, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Now 70 times 7 is 749. So like 490 times. But no sin against nobody in one day so much. But what is Christ trying to teach Peter is brotherhood again, meaning that you must always forgive your brother. All right, you be while in the world, you ever have persons who don't like you?
Yeah.
You have persons who you never did like?
All
right. What if you see those persons who you never did like coming to the truth?
What will I do?
Yeah.
I'm going to show them love and respect, because that is what's in the past.
Thank you. Give yourself a hand for that. So that's what forgiving your brother is about. Look at what is dividing us in our society today. The man out there, gangster, crime, crime getting out on in Jamaica here. Right. Not everything in the media, but it's getting out of hand. Now, what do you think is going to happen after a while when things start come back down? The kingdom of the Most High rising, some in the truth, And when they look, they see the very same man who did kill him brother. Eh? The very same man who used to lick shot after, and who used to lick shot after him.
I say you like kingdom.
Which kingdom? It about just coming into the truth now, while we in this world.
Forgive, forget.
So that's why Christ taught brotherhood. And in brotherhood, you have to forgive. Because we are not an easy set of people, you know. Out there in the world, we are killers. And you have to forgive the brother when he make his step to come in the truth. Just like how you make the step.
True.
So you were blood, I was script. You were one other shower, I was clansman. You were clansman, I was shower. You clansman, I am what do they call the next one now? One other. Are you one other me clansman? I was stone crusher, you understand?
Yeah.
You know the gang violence. But they decide to come in the truth. When they want to come in the truth and shoot up, you have to forgive. So you learning this when you come in the truth now, it also helps you because when you never get this, even though you're in the truth and you're young in the truth, and when you look, you see your enemy coming in, you know that tussle inside you, spiritual tussling, something is going to be inside you that will wonder if you should attack him or you should stop him. You understand? So the truth, the teachings that you get helps you to understand that forgive. You have to forgive in order for even you to survive and to make it into the kingdom. Maybe it's all a man who would kidnap you one time and tie you up. Yeah, some serious thing going among some people later on. Gosh, you have to forgive all. All right, that is Matthew. Mark 12 and 31. Mark 12 and 31 says, and the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. We read that from the time of Moses. We open Leviticus. There is none other commandment greater than these. Right. So the first was love God, and the second is love your neighbor as yourself. God, there is no other commandment that is greater than this. Right. Back to Samuel. So David and Jonathan was living brotherhood. And they are an example of their life, or examples of brotherhood. First Samuel 18. First Samuel 18. All right, verse 6 now. All right. And it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, with tabrets and with joy and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played, and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000. So, David and Saul, they went You know how much fight we have, so much fight we do with the Philistines. They were the main oppressor back then, you know. So they were coming back from a battle, victory. They won, yeah. But the people that were singing and dancing and celebrating, so the women were singing, Saul, David kill his 10,000s and Saul kill his thousands. Remember, Saul is the king, you know. All right, watch what happened with Saul now. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him, and he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. So you give David 10,000 and you give me 1,000.
No problem.
All right. And what can he have more but the kingdom? So I said, the next thing, you know, they ascribe this to him. The kingdom, we go what next? So Saul eyed David from that day and forward. You see, is that David say him kill 10,000, you know, what the people them say, you know. And then the king now start to bad mind him.
Jealousy coming in the picture.
Thank you. Jealousy comes in the picture now. Verse 9, and Saul eyed David from that day forward 10. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul. So in other words, now the Most High keeps sending on Saul evil spirit because the Most High is not with him again because he disobeyed the Most High. When the Most High tell him, say, kill out the, what is the name again? Amalekites.
Okay.
And Saul did not. All right. And
Amalekite is our nation.
White son, white man.
Okay.
See, the same ones them in your land now calling themselves Jews.
Okay.
They don't like you from birth. I miss a birth, my time about Esau and Jacob.
Okay.
That's the spirit that was in Esau, wrestling with Jacob.
Okay.
Right. So they became now the dominant tribe. The Amalekites became the dominant tribe in Esau's descendants. Them control the banks now, them control the armies,
Control everything.
control governments. If you control banking and the army,
Everything that.
everything that basically, it don't really matter who make the decisions, who the people put in. You control the army, you control the banks. The government normally make decisions in favor of the banks. With all the other matter about regulation and things. That is just so that they don't steal the money. They regulate the banks. And that they prevent them from taking dirty money and doing money laundering. Right. So Saul, evil spirit from the Lord came upon Saul again. So he required David to play. The evil spirit from God came upon Saul and he prophesied in the midst of the house. Now, this is an interesting part of the story, though. You know. Listen again. It came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. Christian love talk about Spirit of Lord came upon me, upon him, and he prophesied. Not necessarily talking about Saul, but talking about other people. No, it was an evil spirit from the Most High that came upon Saul. So what kind of prophecy am I prophesying?
Can't prophesy.
Eh?
No, prophesy.
Pure and righteous things more talk. Yeah. Right? And David played with his hand, as at other times. And there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it. So in other words, him kill after David. It's where it reach now. And David avoided out of his presence twice. They put it nice in the Bible. Avoided out of his presence. I run him on from life, you know. Slip him. In other words, him sight the javelin twice. And Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him and was departed from Saul. So him slip Saul and come out of Saul's presence. And at this Saul realized that God is with this man, you know. I mean, not even kill me, can't get to kill him. Therefore, Saul removed him from him and made him his captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people. So in other words, now Saul take from him. You remember what Saul didn't do first? Put him over the men of war. Now him just make him captain of 1,000. Like him demote him. Him now over the whole army again. The men of war. Just give him a certain amount of man. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. So David never really go about and speak rash things against Saul, against the king. Because remember now, Saul, even though him going up against David, he was also anointed. Right. 15. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. So even though he killed after David, David never tried to do him nothing or speak against him or anything. So that kind of heap up now coals of fire upon Saul head. Saul get afraid of him. Right. But all Israel and Judah loved David because he went out and came in before them. So in other words, he report to the king again, report to the people see him, not the king. So that is jealousy. But you know, what is jealousy? Let's look on the meaning of jealousy. What jealousy means? Jealous have three meanings. One, the adjective. The three meanings adjective still. Feeling or showing an envious resentment of someone or their achievement, possession, or perceived advantages. So this was the kind of jealousy where Saul have against David. He was envious and resented David's achievements. Right. Other word is you can use is like envy, covetous, desirous, resentful, grudging, begrudging. The next meaning now is feeling or showing a resentful suspicion that one's partner is attracted to or involved with someone else. That's the jealous husband or the jealous wife. The next jealousy now is fiercely protective of one's rights or possessions. That is the jealousy that God have for you. God will kill all these nations for you. Right? Fiercely protective of one's rights or possessions. This was why he loved David the way he loved David the Most High. Because David killed one whole bear and a lion to save one little lamb. Right? David went to war and killed all the other nations round to save Israel. What we have our brothers doing now? Selling you out. David didn't do that. So this is the kind of that's why I said David was a man of God's own heart. Because what is God's heart to Israel? He will kill the whole nation and every nation upon the face of earth to save Israel. It's only when you get disobedient to him, he will leave you. So since you want to follow them, go on. Let's see how that goes. Right. So there's three kind of jealousy that, and they show them in the Bible. The one that we just read is the envy, the covetous, the bad mind. You know, that's a popular thing we use in Jamaica. Bad mind. Then you have a jealousy, the husband and wife jealousy. And then a jealousy that is righteous, which is from the Most High, or like the Most High. Or if you get protective of your achievements or something, or your independence, that is righteous. You willing to kill to protect your family, that's righteous. Right. All right. Now, let's look at this one. God's jealousy now. Exodus 34, 13 to 14. Thirteen to 14, 13 and 14. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. This is what the Most High told us to do. Don't join with the nation. Mash up the altar, break down the false image that they have, and cut down the groves. For thou shalt worship no other God. For the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. So the Most High don't want to see you in love and to worship other gods. I'm very protective of you in that way. Even now you're going through the curses and things, the Most High is not forsaking you. He's always there. It's either you're going through the blessing or you're going through the curse. There's never a time when Israel not with the Most High, really. The thing we might do with you now is just this. You there over there, so him turn him face. Now pay attention to what's happening to you. Why, man, if you're dead, you're dead. You can't bring you back. What's the other one now? The other jealousy now. You know, we have a law. We have a law of jealousy. Like you're jealous. You get jealous over your woman because you feel say she gonna do it the nookie. Yeah, we have a law of like that. We have a law in Numbers 5, 11 to 31. I'm not going to read all of it though. Numbers 5, verse 11 goes down to 31. It begins at verse 11. It says, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, 12, Speak unto the children of Israel. This is what I mentioned in the beginning of the class. This is how the Most High give you the law. Speak unto the children of Israel. And say unto them, If any man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him, 13, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept close, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the manner. You know what this is saying. In other words, if your woman go out and give you bun, and you don't know, but you feel say she do it. And the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled. Or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled. So in other words, once you start get jealous over a woman, I said maybe she gonna give her the nookie. Whether she do it or not, there's a process you can take her through. When we had the temple, and it goes like this. Then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance. You know no jealousy law for man, it's for the woman. Okay. So that's sure that indeed the man can have more than one wife. And the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord. 17. And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it into the water. So take the dirt from the tabernacle, from the temple, and put in the water. And the priest shall set the woman before the Lord and uncover the woman's head, and put the offering of memorial on her in her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causeth the curse, which is the holy water with the dust. The priest shall charge her by an oath, and say unto the woman, if no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of thy husband, be thou free from this bitter water that causeth the curse. All right. But if thou hast gone aside to another instead of thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee beside thine husband, then the priest shall charge woman with an oath of cursing. And the priest shall say unto the woman, the Lord make thee a curse and an oath among thy people, when the Lord doth make thy thigh to rot and thy belly to swell. All right. All right. Go down to 27. And when he hath made her to drink the water, then it shall come to pass that if she be defiled, that means she go give born for true, and have done trespass against her husband, that the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thigh in here, so, shall rot. In other words, the coochie box rotten. And the woman shall be a curse among her people. That means that when it start to smell, start to stink. Like, oh, so you give bun for true. And if the woman be not defiled, means that she never did go give bun, but be clean, then she shall be free and shall conceive seed. So if you ain't go give bun, all right, you go breed now. This is the law of jealousy, when a wife goeth aside to another instead of her husband and is defiled, or when the spirit of jealousy cometh upon him, and he be jealous over his wife, and shall set the woman before the Lord, and the priest shall execute upon her all this law. Then shall the man be guiltless from iniquity, and this woman shall be her iniquity. So that's the three kind of jealousy. You jealous over your woman, the bad mind jealousy, and jealousy that the Most High have for you when you go worship other God. Right. Most High is protective of who he loves. How you put it? Fiercely protective of one's rights or your possession. All right. All right, let's go to Numbers. No, 1 Peter 2. 1, 2. Because this is the jealousy that Saul have over David, that is the one that's the destructive jealousy. That is the jealousy that is a snare unto us. The next two is not if you're jealous over a woman, it's not a snare to you, Well, if you're jealous over and just go kill her, then he's a murderer. But if you prove, well, you don't even report to execute God law again. Because if you feel your woman and give born and you say you're going to stone her to death, you got prison. Because Esau say, of course it is lawful to give blood. Yeah, that's Esau's law. Turning of things upside down. All right, 1 Peter 2:1. Wherefore lay aside all malice, all guile and hypocrisy and envies, and all evil speakings. This is what the Most High tell we now, said, well, through Peter. Get rid of them things that are outside of you. Malice, guile, what is guile? Guile.
What is a guile?
Sly or cunning intelligence. Just remember, the serpent in the garden beguiled Eve. Meaning what? He was cunning. And come and tell Eve, say, you're not going to die. Because he knows if you eat it, you're going to be like him. You'll be like him. You'll become a god. And the woman was like, damn, I can be Mahat. Okay, I want to be God. Let me eat of this fruit. And in so doing, what was she doing? Disobeying. Disobeying God. Yeah. So that was beguile. Mm-hmm. Shift this and put it to the center. Something dark.
Better.
And so no. Yeah. So, right. So the woman. The woman was beguiled by the serpent. So that is what Peter is saying you should put up. Malice, me and not talk. Beguile, I think me smarter than you. I try to outsmart you with something. You see yours? The phone you don't charge. You never plug in all along.